Hey, welcome back. In this video, we are going to get our development environment set up. So in this series, we're not going to need a server. We're not going to need a backend to do all of our work. We're just going to need some HTML pages and some JavaScript pages. In fact, in the last episode, you saw me type this code into the console window of a browser, just the development tools itself. And that certainly is one way to write code. We saw that that worked. We added this click me button. As I clicked it, it had this alert message. And that all worked fine. The challenge that we have as developers is we want to be able to reload our code multiple times. If I were to refresh this page, my work here is gone. It's disappeared. And that's not acceptable. I need a way to have code in files so that I can run that code over and over again, especially as I interact with it and iteratively develop it so that it has new features. So let's build that environment. One of the first things you're going to have to decide is how you want to type your code. Do you just want to use a text editor like Notepad or Notepad++, or would you rather write it in a more integrated development environment, which is usually called an IDE, that offers higher level features like syntax highlighting? And I know you can get syntax highlighting in Notepad++. However, an integrated development environment, an IDE that's dedicated towards web development, will serve you much better. And there's a few out there that are free. One of the most popular ones is Visual Studio Code. And so here you can get and download Visual Studio Code both for the Mac or for the Windows operating system. And I think that Visual Studio Code is a great choice. So in my examples, I'm going to be using something called WebStorm. It's a JetBrains environment that you can get. And you can also download this environment for non-commercial use. I actually have a paid subscription to this because I use this for some commercial development that I do. For your purpose, you can download the free WebStorm if you want to follow along. So either one, Visual Studio Code or WebStorm, those are both perfectly great choices. So in my WebStorm environment over here, I have got a code directory that is sitting on my desktop and some other directories here, but that's my top level. So I'm going to put all the code that I'm going to write for this series inside of that directory. As an example, this is video 2. I'm going to create a directory here called video 2. And inside of this video 2, we're going to create an HTML page. And this is just going to be a simple HTML page. Is going to have a header and a body. And so this is the least amount of markup that you need to create an HTML page with proper markup. Now you can see my IDE, and this is one of the reasons I like using an IDE, is they'll bark at you when things aren't quite right. So it's saying here I'm missing a required attribute, language. And so we're going to let it help me add that, English. And then here it's saying I'm missing a required element called title. And it's going to help me put that in there. We'll just go JavaScript for beginners. And so here's my page. Inside of the body, this is where the markup usually goes that defines all the elements on the page. For example, the last time we added a button, and this button had a click me, so it looked like that. And so let's see if we can't see this page in our browser. And there's a few ways to do this. One way is your IDE, for example, WebStorm here, has essentially a play button. So I can run this index.html page. And if I click run, you can see it over here, and it has a local host 63344, and it's serving up this file to me. Now, in order for it to create this local host environment, it actually had to start up some server. And that certainly is one way to do it, and it's probably a way that I will click it most often just because it's really easy. But another way is you can just drag this HTML page over to your browser and drop it in as a new tab. And then what you're going to see here is it's serving it from a file. Let's see if we can't get things to work a little bit here. So last time we had this on-click event, and what we did was we hard-coded an alert right inside of that event. So if I do this and I refresh this page, this is the server version. If I click me, it says hello. If I refresh this page, this is the non-server. It's just running the file. I click me, and it still says hello. So we're okay with it. But let's see what happens now if I create another file in here. A lot of the times we're going to create multiple files because I want to separate my script from my markup. And so I'll put my script in here and put my markup over here. Let's just keep things super simple. In this script, all I'm going to do is I'm going to have another alert box, and we're just going to say JavaScript is working. Just like that. Don't worry too much about the syntax or the keywords that you're seeing. We're going to cover all of that. In this video, let's just focus in on getting our environment set up so you understand how to include certain files and you just get everything running in the browser. So we can use our browser as our host. So it has the JavaScript runtime in the browser and it's actually running our code for us. So let's go back to our index page and towards the bottom here, let's include that script. And I'm going to come back to the JavaScript page that PHP-Storm is running through its server. I'm going to refresh this and I see JavaScript is working here. And then it'll show me the page. If I click it, I get the hello from the button. If I refresh the page from running this without the server, just the file, I still get the JavaScript is working. And I click this and I have the hello message from the button. So either way of running this page, this is perfectly acceptable. If you have something where you can just click a play button and let it work, that's totally acceptable. Otherwise, you can just drag these pages over into the browser and the browser will know what to do with your page. And finally, before we leave, I don't think there is a right way or a wrong way to do this. You certainly could use Notepad, Notepad++ to do this development. I don't want you to overlook all the benefits as you're learning a language, having syntax highlighting where keywords are green and you have these attributes in purple. And so syntax highlighting is super valuable from a learning experience. It makes things visually more clear. It also adds those little squigglies when I mess up sometimes and it points me in the right direction. So I don't want to overlook that. I do recommend that you choose either Visual Studio Code or WebStorm for this development series. That's it for now. I'll see you next time.